Godzilla, the iconic king of the monster, has dominated the screens of Japan for almost 66 years. The Kaiju King has changed in size, design, and origin several times now, but most importantly, his roster of allies and enemies has expanded and grown several times over what it originally was. Of course, this leads to two questions: who are the strongest, and who are the weakest? I hope to clear up over the course of this video what I believe to be the ranking of every kaiju in the Godzilla franchise, under a few conditions. I've watched every single Godzilla film in preparation for this, for some dumb reason even the ones that don't have kaiju apart from Godzilla, and it might have taken ages, but I'm finally ready to make the video. But first, the rules and the qualifications to make it onto the list. Number 1. We are assuming that every single Godzilla is equal in power. This might seem strange, but it is very important to do this, as otherwise the list would be very boring. If we used all Godzillas at their calculated levels of power, then it would just be weak as the strongest Showa, weak as the strongest Heisei, weak as the strongest Final Wars, weak as the strongest GMK, and so on. All placed in the order of which Godzilla is strongest, as opposed to actually anything to do with the individual kaiju, with only a few scant exceptions. As such, essentially the list would just be a disguised Godzilla ranking list, and the kaiju that we are talking about themselves won't actually matter much. Number 2, we are assuming the super forms of Godzilla are all equal as well. Heisei Burning Godzilla, Monsterverse Burning Godzilla, and Final Wars Keizer Godzilla. All equal. Number 3, different forms of kaiju are usually going to be considered separate. Larva and Imago Mothras are separate, Perfect Destoroyah and Hedorah are separate from Flying Destoroyah and Hedorah, and Space Godzilla's gap in power with and without the Crystal City he creates is too big not to include. Number 4, different versions of kaiju from different continuities are also going to be considered as separate. Number 5, we are only looking at the films. No comics, no games, no TV show appearances, only the films. Qualifications. 1. Every kaiju has to have appeared in at least one Godzilla film. If a kaiju has never appeared in a Godzilla film, then naturally they won't be included. Stock footage for the likes of Ghidorah, Skull Island Kong, and Ghidorah don't count. Number 2, the kaiju has to have fought at least one other kaiju. If they haven't, then they cannot be included, and if they have, then they do have to be included. Number 3, no Godzillas. Naturally, Godzilla himself would have a place on the list, but given a lot of these kaiju's placement revolve around how they compare to Godzilla, there will be very little to say about why Godzilla is where he is. I'll say where he would be, but obviously there wouldn't be much to talk about. Number 4, no Anime King Ghidorah. Anime Ghidorah is a very unique case amongst kaiju. When a mecha loses a pilot, that's it, they're done. That's death. But when Anime Ghidorah loses whichever dickhead has a magic rock in his eye, he just loses a bunch of his powers. But it's a huge drop. When he's at his strongest, he is easily number 1, regardless of if Godzillas are equal or not, because he defies physics itself. However, when he is under the laws of physics, he gets so brutally obliterated by Godzilla, it's not funny. This is Godzilla vs. Zilla levels of stomped. So with all that established, let's actually talk about which kaiju just didn't make the cut, because I think they all deserve to be noticed. We have the kaiju that just made tiny cameos. Monsterverse Anguirus is just a skeleton, Giant Lizard, Skeleturtle, Kamakuras from Tokyo SOS, and the anime kaiju Kamakuras, Dagara, Orga, Anguirus, Rodan, Hedorah, Mechagodzilla, and Mothra. Then we have kaiju who never fought another kaiju, but had decently sufficient screen time. First generation Showa Rodan never fought any kaiju, and we can't really say if the second generation one is one of the two that survived the volcano or what. Minilla from Final Wars, Baby Godzilla and Little Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Megagodzilla 2 and Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla respectively. Third generation Mothra and second generation Kumonga both silked King Ghidorah, but didn't actually fight him properly. First generation Manda, it only fought the Gotengo, and it is separate to the Destroy All Monsters version. Final Wars Manda also only fought the Gotengo. First generation Gorosaurus only appeared in King Kong Escapes. It is officially a separate individual to the Destroy All Monsters one, and fought a different King Kong to the King Kong vs. Godzilla one, and the first generation one has never appeared in a Godzilla form anyway. Both Baragons from the Showa era. The first generation Baragon only fought Frankenstein in Frankenstein vs. Baragon, which isn't a Godzilla film, and neither of these two kaiju ever appeared in a Godzilla film. Second generation Baragon and Destroy All Monsters didn't do anything. Varan. First generation Varan has never been in a Godzilla film and has never fought another kaiju. Second generation Varan has never fought anybody in Destroy All Monsters, and that's the only film he's been in. Maneater, Shockidus, Dorrats, Godzillasaurus, and Fairy Mothra all just don't fight. Showa Mothra has only appeared in The Mysterians, which is not a Godzilla film. The Millennium only showed up to transform into Orga. Meganulon, well, the Showa one just got eaten by Rodan and the Millennium one only fought people. Kamakuras from the Showa era, only appeared in Space Amoeba, and I'm only bringing him up because he was in Tokyo SOS. The servant from the anime, I mean, they did get killed by Mechagodzilla City, but I don't think that counts. And the Monsterverse Kaiju Methuselah, Skylar, Barb, the Queen Muto, Kongs from Skull Island, who never appeared in a Godzilla film outside of stock footage. This is being recorded before Kong vs. Godzilla. I'm hoping to get it out before that does as some sort of commemoration. Behemoth, the Skull Devil, who did fight a kaiju, but it was only Kong, and he's never been in a Godzilla film, neither is a Skull Devil. And the 1998 Godzilla. This Godzilla has never fought anybody, and also is a Godzilla. It is a bit of a misconception that this and Zilla are the exact same, and that the Godzilla that appeared in the 1998 film is officially Zilla. However, the kaiju that appeared in that film is canonically and officially Godzilla, aside from in the GMK universe where this film is canonical, but this is not Godzilla. Zilla is officially a separate kaiju under the trademark. However, anything involving the design, origins, and abilities of the TriStar 1998 Godzilla in the future is under the banner of Zilla. However, specifically just the Godzilla from the 1998 film and the follow-up series, and pretty much that's it, are all still called Godzilla. The film is not called Zilla, the kaiju in this film is not called Zilla, but outside of the film and the TV show, it's more or less Zilla. Now we can get to the actual list. Number 75, Gabara. Gabara's placement here should surprise nobody. Gabara was a dream-born Oni-inspired kaiju, created in the mind of Ichiro Miki as a representation of his real-life bully. Gabara tormented Minilla before Minilla then beat him back and Godzilla stomped him. Gabara has the ability to excrete venom from his warts, charge electricity through his hands, and induce a painful need to commit suicide by roaring. Gabara's position here is simple. He doesn't exist. As a kaiju, he fits the requirements, but in universe, he is not a real thing. So... Number 74, Meganulon. When I watched Godzilla vs. Megaguirus and saw that Meganulon actually fought Godzilla, I cried that it fit all my criteria. Meganulon is the metamorph form of the Millennium Meganulon, created after the bugs molted and grew their wings. In the film, they helped to gather DNA from Godzilla, put it into Megaguirus, and then promptly died. Meganulon's fight with Godzilla shines a light on just how strong they are. Not very. Godzilla manages to kill hundreds of them with a few atomic breaths, and while they do technically pierce his skin, calling those wounds and saying they should put them above the kaiju that couldn't harm Godzilla is like saying a mosquito is above a penguin because the mosquito can actually kill you. Meganulon can't win a fight against any other kaiju on this list because it could never fight Gabara, and thousands of them failed to do anything to Godzilla. There are some Meganulon that died just because they were sitting on Godzilla's spines as he was charging an atomic breath. What else can I say? Number 73, the Giant Octopus. Officially unnamed, the Giant Octopus is exactly what it sounds like. Its origins unknown, this kaiju actually has a lot more of a profile than I'd like to admit. It was in King Kong vs. Godzilla, War of the Gargantuars, and the alternate ending of Frankenstein vs. Baragon. It also appeared in Godzilla Monster Apocalypse, but Gabara shows up in that and pretty much everything else does. The Giant Octopus fought King Kong and lost without really putting up much of a fight. It failed to hurt King Kong, he never even took a hit from King Kong. King Kong just threw him and threw a rock at him. What else can I say? Number 72, Kamakuras, Godzilla Final Wars. The first of many kaiju with multiple incarnations, Kamakuras from Final Wars is a giant praying mantis that appeared in 2 whole scenes of the movie. Spoiler alert, most Final Wars kaiju gonna be pretty low. With unknown origins like most of the kaiju from the film, Kamakuras attacked Paris at the start of the movie, launched by the Exilians in secret only so they could take it away and deploy to appear friendly to humanity. It was later launched again to face Godzilla, and died. Kamakuras has very few abilities, only having its claws and flights. However, this particular incarnation of the kaiju can also blend in with its surroundings in a form of camouflage. I do hate having to put him so low, given I love praying mantises, but this is his fight against Godzilla. He doesn't take a single hit from Godzilla, doesn't land a single blow, and is impaled on a pylon. How pathetic.
It's broken.
Number 71. Minilla. Minilla is the hideous son of Godzilla, born from an egg of unknown origin prematurely when 3 Kamakuras smashed it open forcefully. The creature was adopted by Godzilla and is more or less the catalyst for Godzilla's transformation in the Showa era from an arsehole to a hero. Minilla possesses a smoke ring style atomic breath, a weak regular atomic breath, and can communicate with Godzilla over long distances with some sort of actual radio frequency. Minilla sucks, plain and simple. It lost a one-on-one fight with Showa Kamakuras and has at its peak knocked over first generation Kumonga. Now yes, Minilla did technically kill King Ghidorah, but that was through strangling him with a smoke ring, against a kaiju with a thicker neck, or against King Ghidorah when he's not already critically injured and busy being beaten by 3 kaiju at once, he would fail to accomplish this. Also, he's hideous and I hate it.
It's a giant praying mantis.
Number 70. Kamakuras, Showa. The Showa incarnation of Kamakuras shares all the same non-existent origins and abilities as the Final Wars one, just without the camouflage. Why is it here? Because Godzilla actually hit them when they attacked, unlike the Final Wars one. And of course, one of them could beat Minilla, and of course, 3 at once lost to Godzilla, and 1 was one-shot by an atomic breath. So clearly not worthy of being placed any higher. Number 69. Giant Condor. I know, why is this fucking thing not rock bottom? Well, I can explain this very clearly. Firstly, for those not in the know, this is just a big bird with no origins or powers that attacks Godzilla randomly in Ebirah horror of the deep. The thing is, the Condor takes one single light hand tap. And honestly, I could believe it beating any kaiju below it, including a Kamakuras. Although like Kamakuras, it was one shot by an atomic breath. I don't know, it could be a close battle, but let's not pretend Kamakuras is anything other than just a giant bug. Number 68. Destoroyah Flying Form. The first of 3 Destoroyah forms that qualify for this list, Flying Form Destoroyah is by far one of the weakest. This form of the kaiju Destoroyah was used when he first combined all of his juvenile forms into one entity and flew off to ravage Japan. The flying form can naturally fly and fire micro-oxygen rays from its mouth. However, it was flawed after only a few atomic breaths from Godzilla Jr. As such, it is pretty weak. It also really didn't do much damage to Jr. with the micro-oxygen rays. But if that's all, why is it here? Well... Number 67. Godzilla Jr. Godzilla Jr. is the adult form of the adopted son of Godzilla from the Heisei era. First born from an egg in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 as Baby Godzilla, it grew up to Little Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, and then finally grew to its larger state in Godzilla vs. Destoroyah, which is not what we're talking about because Rebirth Godzilla is both a Godzilla and also never fought anything. Godzilla Jr. was a state this kaiju maintained for the majority of Godzilla vs. Destoroyah, possessing an atomic breath, the ability to absorb radiation, physically communicate with Rodan, Godzilla and even humans like Mikisei Gusa over long distances. He can also regenerate this gaping chest wound. This is not a continuity error, Godzilla has established regeneration, so this is just an example of how powerful Junior's is. Unfortunately, the reason for Godzilla Jr.'s placement this low is because of that wound. Godzilla Jr. could bring down Flying Form Destoroyah, however against the Aggregate form he was very easily overwhelmed and nearly killed. And spoiler alert, Aggregate Destoroyah isn't ranking too high because...
This is incredible! The creatures seem to have combined to form one big giant monster!
Number 66. Destoroyah Aggregate Form. Destoroyah's Aggregate Form was born at the same time as the flying one. After a military attack attempting to destroy the juvenile Destoroyahs merely led them to combine into one being. Stronger and more capable of fighting than the flying form, it was able to pretty effortlessly overwhelm Godzilla Jr. and hurt him bad. However, a swarm of Aggregate Destroyers were all one-shot by burning Godzilla pretty easily. But wait, I hear someone asking. 3 Kamakuras were beaten by Godzilla just as easy as 6 Destoroyah aggregates. However, 3 Destoroyahs on their own could at least topple Godzilla, unlike the Kamakuras, and burning Godzilla is stronger than regular Godzilla. But the fact that they failed kind of puts him low. Number 65. Kumonga, Godzilla Final Wars. Kumonga is a giant spider kaiju with no real origins, and its only power is being able to somehow shoot complete webs. Kumonga attacked a trailer park in Arizona, then was tossed out to fight Godzilla and then tossed out by Godzilla. At the very least, it was able to avoid Godzilla's attacks and required Godzilla to put in minimum effort, so that's really the only reason why it's this high. It took Godzilla one-on-one and required a little bit of effort to be beaten. However, it was also just thrown out without taking a hit. Could it be Aggregate Destroyer or Godzilla Jr? Well, that's debatable. However, when Burning Godzilla threw the Aggregate Destroyer, it killed him, but Kumonga survived the majority of that throw, at least until it landed. But given they're right next to each other and the scope of how large this list is, it doesn't really matter if you swap them around. Number 64. Rodan, Godzilla Final Wars. Rodan is the first member of the Big Five on this list. According to the theatre program for the film, this incarnation of the character is a pteranodon awoken by environmental disturbances on the Earth. First appearing to attack New York's completely realistic inhabitants.
I'm looking at a dead man. I'm looking at a dead man. Yo, what's up? Come on, put the gun down. No, see, too late for that. This here is a hand cannon. I'll blow your ass all the way back to Jersey.
He was then taken away and thrown back to fight Godzilla alongside Anguirus and King Keizer. Unfortunately, kinda sucks. Rodan hits Godzilla and does borderline no damage, literally just making him move forward a little bit, and then was one-shot by having Anguirus hit into him. That's it. Rodan loses without getting hit by Godzilla. But at least, unlike Kumonga, he gets hit. Number 63. King Keizer, Godzilla Final Wars. King Keizer is a giant Shisa creature. A Shisa being a Japanese guardian artifact, which is essentially a cheap knockoff of the significantly cooler Chinese guardian lions. Revered as protective things, this motherfucker simply waltzed out and trashed Okinawa, then fought Godzilla and lost. Wielding absolutely no powers whatsoever, this version of the character lost without hitting Godzilla once, and without getting hit by Godzilla once. But hold on, Rodan got hit before going down. Why isn't he above? Well, because King Keizer roundhouse kicked the exact same attack that one-shot Rodan, meaning theoretically he could take the same blow. You're probably noticing that a lot of these lower kaiju are from Final Wars. Number 62. Manda Showa, Second Generation. Manda is the guardian deity of the Kingdom of Mu. Frozen by the Gotengo, the first Manda's fate is unknown. However, at the end of the 20th century, a second Manda was held on Monster Island, eventually freed by the Keelarks and sent to attack London and Tokyo. Now, those in the know might be wondering when Manda ever fought another kaiju. It only fights with Gotengo in the whole series. Well, in a deleted scene from Destroy All Monsters, Manda does fight Godzilla. He gets demolished really easily, but unlike King Keizer and Rodan, he actually took hits from Godzilla directly. I know it's a deleted scene, but I wanted to include one version of every notable kaiju, and I really wanted to include Manda. Poor Varan though, he still doesn't get any representation. Number 61. Muto, Male. The Mutos are a parasitic pair of titans. Technically unnamed, the two of them attempted to procreate in the 2014 Godzilla film, and nearly succeeded until Godzilla showed up to wreck their shit. Possessing the unique ability between the two to fly, the smaller and significantly weaker male Muto took on Godzilla a few times throughout the film, and lost all times. Real talk, the male Muto mildly bothered Godzilla, but he got pretty brutally demolished and died after one tail smack. That's pretty sad. Also, he doesn't have any official weight or wingspan. That helps. Number 60. Mothra, Showa First Generation. The first generation of Mothra was a kaiju who first appeared in her own film attacking Japan to save the Showa after they were stolen. Evolving into her imago form in the film, Mothra later appeared again in Mothra vs. Godzilla, now old and barely capable of fighting, and well, she got obliterated. Possessing really only wind powers and poison powder, Mothra got really badly beaten. She got killed by a single atomic breath and failed to harm Godzilla at all. That's actually kinda sad. I know that a lot of places like Versus Battle Wiki like to suggest she's really strong because she was able to knock over Godzilla and hold him back. That's not how that works. Through sheer physics, enough wind's gonna blow you back no matter how strong you are, because it's your weight that matters when it comes to being blown back by wind, not how physically strong you are. And Mothra knocking over Godzilla means nothing. Almost every single kaiju in the series has at one point knocked over Godzilla in some way. This means nothing. And I do recognize it's kind of unfair, because she was really old. But still, I mean, props to her for not being rock bottom while she was nearly dead. Number 59. Zilla. I bet you all expected this guy to be at the bottom, and he very well was for a while. Stated in the Godzilla Final War Super Complete Works to have been related to a similar kaiju that attacked the US in 1998, Zilla appeared to attack Sydney in my very own Australia. That motherfucker. And then attacked Godzilla and was killed. Possessing absolutely no powers whatsoever, this Zilla was killed with a single atomic breath. However, and this is important, unlike King Keizer and Rodan, who were taken out without ever getting hit by Godzilla, Zilla survived one hit. He survived a tail smack. The same tail smack that sent Anguirus flying. You might want to say Rodan's hit was harder than Godzilla's, but then Godzilla actually bothered to atomic breath Zilla, so Zilla gets here. He's not that bad, guys. They're no longer trying to pass him off as Godzilla. Lay off him. Number 58. Mothra Heisei Larva. Mothra is the Heisei incarnation of the divine deity of Infant Island. When humans came to Infant Island, the cosmos allowed them to take the egg of Mothra to Japan out of fear of Batra's reawakening. Along the way, however, Godzilla and Batra showed up. And well, they fucked up the shipment. Mothra hatched, rampaging through Japan to reclaim the cosmos after they were kidnapped, and then transformed. However, as a larva, it unfortunately picked a fight with Godzilla, and this is where I have to come in. Mothra as larva was easily beaten by Godzilla, but unlike every single kaiju on this list so far, Mothra actually caused Godzilla some pain, and was able to piss him off. So while she didn't take any real hits on her own aside from being swatted by Batra, she shows herself to be capable of doing more damage than the other kaiju. Not enough to get high though. Number 57. Titanosaurus. I know, a lot of you Titanosaurus fans might be mad, but really the only thing Titanosaurus has to his name is this. If you're unaware, Titanosaurus is a peaceful aquatic dinosaur kaiju. It was discovered by Shinzo Mifune, who took control of it and sent it out to fight alongside the rebuilt Mechagodzilla. And he got his shit kicked in. In all three of his 1v1 fights with Godzilla, he got obliterated. No atomic breath needed, he just got smashed. In fact, without Mechagodzilla, he likely would have been destroyed really easily. However, unlike all the previous kaiju on this list, he actually did put up a fight and took some melee hits from Godzilla. The fact that he could even put up any sort of fight at all is enough to be above the rest.
Keep firing! We have to stand up and fight!
Captain, it's the Anguirus, sir!
What?
Number 56. Anguirus Godzilla Final Wars. Anguirus was a big monster that attacked Shanghai under the control of the Zillions, where he fought the Kaiju, which is not named after Kiryu, but rather probably named after the key-like UFO from Destroy All Monsters, as Kaiju means fire dragon, which is what the UFO is called. Later he fought Godzilla alongside King Keizer and Rodan. This Anguirus is unique in that he's the only film incarnation to be able to do the Anguirus Ball, or in Final Wars, the Fierce Dragon Monster Ball Violent Bullet! Which is a name. Unfortunately, he lost to Godzilla while working with others. But to be fair, Anguirus survived getting stomped by Godzilla, being the only three of them to take a hit from the Big G, and getting smashed by the same move that hit Zilla. Anguirus is a tough bitch, and one-shot Rodan by hitting him. However, he never once needed to be hit with the atomic breath, so... Number 55. Baragon, Millennium. God of the Earth, Baragon was the first of the guardian monsters awoken by the spirit of Hirotoshi Isayama to combat the recently resurrected Godzilla. Baragon was first identified as an earthquake with a moving epicenter, as he used his burrowing abilities to find his way to Godzilla. And when they finally fought, Baragon lost. Baragon manages to harm Godzilla like the Heisei Mothra, but unlike her, he actually takes some damage. Namely, he takes a real pounding from Godzilla, but then is one-shot by the atomic breath. Godzilla does fire two, but the first one only hits the ground below Baragon. Poor Baragon, but at least unlike Varan, I got to mention him. Number 54. Ghidorah, Millennium. Ghidorah, the not yet 1,000-year dragon, was the god of the sky of the guardian monsters. Awoken to face Godzilla along with Baragon and Mothra, Ghidorah went to face the mighty Godzilla alongside his ally Mothra. Slain years ago when he was Yamato no Orochi, Ghidorah had only managed to regrow 3 of his 8 heads, and let that represent why Ghidorah here is so damn low. Unfortunately, Ghidorah more or less lacks the capacity to really call himself a Ghidorah. While he was able to cause some very minor pain to Godzilla, Godzilla was able to nearly one-shot him with an atomic breath. Now, unlike some of the characters who died to a one single blast from the atomic breath, Ghidorah technically did survive, but that doesn't really help him because he was left crippled and unable to fight until, well, we'll get there.
The giant claw!
Number 53. Ebirah, Showa. Ebirah was a crustacean mutated by nuclear waste produced by the Red Bamboo, and was used as a kaiju to ward off ships from entering or leaving Lechi Island. And given his first appearance shows him failing to do just that, we can see just how good he is at it. Ebirah then fought Godzilla, and considering we're talking about what's essentially just a big lobster with no powers, you can guess how that went. When it comes to kaiju whose names are in movie titles, Ebirah is easily one of the weakest. However, somehow, don't ask how, he survived an atomic breath. You can't tell for sure if it hit him directly, but it looks like it does at least once. Still, he got easily crushed by Godzilla, his claws torn off, and even dragging Godzilla underwater just led to Godzilla pulling him back out of it. Not much to say about Ebirah really. He's in the category of actually surviving an atomic breath, and that's the category we're just going into. Everyone else is in a category below that. He took an atomic breath better than Ghidorah did.
Gigan! Rise!
Number 52. Gigan, Final Wars. In the year 20XX, the Earth Defense Force found the mummified remains of a creature defeated by Mothra known as Gigan. When the Zillions attacked, he was awakened and sent to destroy the Gotengo. He failed. Then he was to kill Godzilla, and he failed. Gigan possesses anti-gravity flight, scythes for hands that are known as the bloody triggers, and grappling hooks officially referred to as fucking anchors. Just, what? Likely a misreading of hook and anchor. Oh, okay, well, that's better. He has a bladed cutter that could damage the Gotengo, but not to any meaningful extent, and a scattered light beam Gigarium cluster, which is a laser beam that works like a cluster bomb. Unfortunately, despite how bitching he looks in this continuity, he sucks. He survives one atomic breath, which is something, but much like Ebirah, he really doesn't put up any fight, and a second atomic breath takes his head off. That sucks, dude, but at least you look cool. Number 51. Ebirah, Final Wars. Ebirah is the same stupid ass kaiju he was before, he sucks. Ebirah, however, survived this atomic breath like Gigan, but unlike Gigan, he took this much bigger atomic breath and was clearly alive until it exploded. Also, he harmed Hedorah, which is more than I can say for Gigan, but Hedorah's kind of a goo monster anyway, so I'm pretty sure a human can harm him in that capacity. Alright guys, this is sort of just the last sort of edition. I haven't even got my pop filter on for this, but because of how large this project turned out to be in the end, I'm going to have to split it into 3 parts. It's going to be 75 to 51 for this one, as you would have noticed. 50 to 25, no, 50 to 26 in the next one, and then 25 to number 1 in the next one. You can place your bets down there. I hope it's not going to be too obvious, but, you know, I mean, this is just for fun anyway. So unfortunately, I have to rush and get this outro recorded. But hey, if you're wondering, the musical tracks used will be listed in the 3rd part, because I'm doing something special at the end of that one, and when it's all said and done, I'm going to compile all 3 single videos as one, cutting out intros and outros, obviously. So have a good day, hope you enjoyed, bye-bye.